Many of us tend to struggle within our relationships because there is a misconception surrounding what relationships are naturally intended for. These bonds that we have formed have been rooted in liability rather than in love. Many of us have had our relationships based on responsibility. We begin to feel responsible for the experience of others, when truly, relationships are a blessing for us to experience ourselves. It's okay, Mommy. Every relationship that we have in our life is only merely an opportunity for us to grow. A lot of the times, we believe that relationships are meant to provide us something that we cannot provide ourselves. There's a foundation of pain when we begin a lot of our relationships due to the fact that our inner being simply just wants to experience, to grow, to do the things that it enjoys, and to love itself. However, when we make these commitments to one another, there is unverbalized contracts of expectation. You know inherently that this other person wants something from you, whether this be romantic, platonic, or familial. We have been taught that our relationships are an exchange of duty rather than an invitation to ourselves. The liabilities that we place tend to manifest in the form of responsibilities surrounding chores, surrounding faithfulness, intimacy, fidelity, and emotional creation. For a person who is actually on the road to self-actualization and can really begin to understand themselves and has an innate desire to experience personal growth and to excel in the areas of self-love and self-experience, beingness, it becomes very obvious that no one outside of you can provide you something that you cannot already provide yourself. Instead, we use these relationships as excuses for why we have not already provided it to ourselves. There is this genuinely misconstrued concept of having to work on our relationships, when relationships shouldn't require work in the first place. The only relationship that you ever need to work on is the relationship with yourself. And once you do this, you will inherently understand that all other relationships in your life are working out exactly how they're supposed to. A lot of times we tend to work on our relationships, but really this means working on another person, working on creating them to fit the expectation of our desire. If we had already understood ourselves, we would not need another person to understand what we desire, which means that when they enter our lives, we are not expecting them to be something that they are not. When you become aware of and accepting of your own desires, you never feel the need to force them onto someone else. You will never ask your partner or your friends or your family to change, because you understand that what you desire also wants you. What you desire also desires you. And in that bond of desire, it will always find a way. So even if that specific person, that specific relationship isn't providing to you one or a few of your desires, there's no reason to try to force it to. Because in that way, you are forcing it to be something that it's not already is. I don't know why. That's what I want to say. That it's not English. That's not like verbally correct, but you get the point. 8:28 on the recording. If you desire something in this life, there's no need to try to force it out of one person or one outcome. You must trust that the desire also wants you, and it's going to come in a way that is natural to it. This is also a reason why many of us struggle with our relationship with money. It's because we desire money to show up in a specific way. We desire money, and we place an expectation on it to show up in a specific way, in a way that may be unnatural to it. I believe this is why I am genuinely learning how to become a free woman, because I am learning that the attachment to anything outside of myself will never produce the results that I would like to receive. In acceptance and realization of my own desire, I recognize that one, there's nothing wrong with what I desire. There's no need to compromise my desire. 2, I am the creator of my own story. In order to try to mold somebody else, any other relationship in my life, a friend, a family member, a romantic partner, to fit the whims of my desire would be to strip them of their own. Therefore, desire would never be self-actualized or manifest. One of the most important relationships to understand this with is that relationship that we have with our kids. There is an innate part of us, an integral part of us, that desires to see our children thrive and grow. It is our duty, it is our capability to help our children become fully functioned in a way where they can become fully actualized. In other words, it's not our job to help our children figure out who they are, but to equip them with the tools to do so. This means allowing them responsibility of self at a young age, helping them become self-sustaining, doing simple tasks that maintain their process to survive, their process to evolve. Once we feel our children are fully equipped with the basic necessities of life and the functions that we require in order to survive, then it is up to us to release them to figure out what it means for them to thrive, where their own desires lie, and how they wish to manifest that for themselves. Understanding now that all relationships are only an opportunity to grow. We are not indebted to each other in any way. And when we begin to feel so, we begin to diminish the aspects of our own soul. We begin to diminish the aspects of our own desires. The first step in this is to forgive yourself for the role that you've played in the dynamic of these unhealthy relationships. Recognize and honor the contributions that you have made to placing the responsibility of your own story, of your own happiness, of your own experience on someone outside of you, so that you become aware of how you can sustain yourself from doing that to others as you continue forward. Next, you begin to learn yourself genuinely. This is our first Dharma. When we learn ourselves and we maintain this sense of duty to who we are, to actualizing our desires and to accepting them fully for what they are, the Dharma of all of our other relationships begins to flow. There's no need to work on it. There's no need to force it. It is what it is. Literally, it will be what it is, always. And in allowing these relationships to be what they are, after you have allowed yourself to be fully who you are, you will create a happier reality for yourself. To think that one person or one relationship has the answer, has the key to unlocking and manifesting all of your desires, is limiting yourself to a very dull life experience. So forgiveness is first key for trying to change yourself and trying to fit the shape of others. Once we can forgive ourselves for our false senses of identity that we've created due to the sake of a projected desire of another person, we can then begin to forgive ourselves for how we've projected our desires onto other people. In turn, they begin to forgive us. And now, in our relationships, we experience genuine love. Love for who the person is, not liability for what they are not. Your desires also desire you. Allow them to show up in their most natural form. Allow people to be who they truly are. Only then is when your desires can truly be fulfilled.